Odell Beckham Jr. has always inspired a lot of stupid opinions. From his famous hairdo to his ridiculous pregame warm-up catches, to his outlandish touchdown celebrations, to even simply playing in a big market, Beckham has rightfully earned the attention, good or bad. However, all the hatred for Beckham's personality, which in itself is stupid considering no one actually knows who he is off the field, has bled into some absolutely ludicrous takes about his on-field play. You don't have to be a fan of the man, but to deny his talent is absurd. He is not a one-catch wonder, and the Cleveland Browns are not better without him, because make no mistake, Odell Beckham Jr., when healthy, is still one of the best players in the entire NFL. First, let's address the idea that Beckham is just a one-catch wonder, and that his fame and popularity are built just based off of that one spectacular catch. This is quite honestly the most easily disproven narrative of all time, and it's laughable that it still persists. Even just looking at Beckham's rookie year alone, this narrative should have already been toast. In 2014, Beckham was top 10 in the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. All of this while missing the first 4 games of the season due to a hamstring injury. He was second in the league in PFF grading and third in yards per route run. Not only did his 108.8 yards per game lead the league in 2014, but it is also the best mark for any rookie wide receiver ever. Beckham is top 4 all times in terms of receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns for a rookie. Again, all while playing only 12 games. OBJ's rookie season ranks right up there with Randy Moss's for the greatest ever for a receiver. Beckham backed up that phenomenal rookie season with an almost just as good sophomore year. Playing in 15 games in 2015, Beckham was 8th in receptions, 5th in receiving yards, and 4th in touchdowns caught. His yards per game mark fell behind just Julio Jones and Antonio Brown, who each had historic 1,800-yard seasons. Beckham was once again behind just those two in yards per route run. 2016 was more of the same. 3rd in catches, 3rd in receiving yards, 5th in touchdowns. It gets a bit tired repeating the same great stats. It probably gets a bit tired listening to it too, but it has to be said. Beckham was also 5th in yards per route run in 2016. The Giants returned to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years despite having PFF's 27th ranked quarterback throwing their elite receiver passes. 2017, on the other hand, was a wash all around. Beckham played in just 4 games thanks to a fractured ankle, thus snapping his streak of 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. Eli Manning was benched for Geno Smith for 1 game, Ben McAdoo was fired after a 2-10 start, and the Giants bottomed out at 3-13. Let's just all agree to collectively forget about that season. In 2018, Beckham returned to the lineup and didn't miss a beat. Despite missing the final 4 games with a quad injury, Beckham returned to the 1,000-yard club for the 4th time in 5 years with the Giants. In fact, Beckham has cleared that mark in every season of his career in which he's played at least half the season, including his down year in Cleveland in 2019. Not bad for a one-catch wonder. Beckham was 9th in yards per game in 2018. He also finished 5th in PFF grading among receivers, his highest finish since his rookie year. Beckham was top 12 in PFF grading in all 4 healthy years he spent in New Jersey. Despite playing in just 59 games and 5 seasons with the Giants, Beckham was top 10 in catches, yards, and scores from 2014 to 2018. He was 3rd in yards per game behind just Julio Jones and Antonio Brown once again. Then, Beckham was traded to Cleveland just like that. After a promising 2018 in which Baker Mayfield had one of the greatest rookie seasons ever for a quarterback, expectations were sky high for the Browns in 2019 with the addition of an elite receiver, among other pieces. But things just never clicked. Mayfield and Beckham never seemed to be on the right page. Freddie Kitchens was a disaster of a coach, and Beckham was just brutally misused and underused for a receiver of his caliber. He averaged a career-low 8.3 targets per game in 2019 after putting up over 10 per game every previous year in his career. OBJ saw double-digit targets in just 6 games and cleared 100 yards on just 2 of those. It was like Kitchens got a new toy and simply couldn't figure out how to put the batteries in. On top of all that, Mayfield regressed in a big way. In 2019, Beckham Jr. tied for the league lead in uncatchable passes thrown his way with 27. He also had the most deep ball incompletions that were deemed the quarterback's fault per PFF. Lastly, Beckham also had the second most end zone targets deemed uncatchable, a sure reason why he scored just 4 times in 16 games. Despite all this dysfunction, OBJ still eclipsed 1,000 yards for the 5th time in his career. Before unfortunately going down with yet another season-ending injury, Beckham was actually being used in more creative ways in 2020. He went over 150 total yards and scored 3 times against the Cowboys, including a game-sealing 50-yard touchdown run. In the second matchup with the Bengals, Beckham got hurt on Mayfield's first pass of the game, which was an ugly interception. After starting the game 0 for 5, Mayfield then finished the game 22 of 23 with a spike and threw 5 touchdowns in a comeback win. This is what started all the Ewing theory nonsense of, are the Browns better without Beckham Jr.? First of all, this great game Mayfield had was against the 31st ranked defense per DVOA and the 26th ranked pass defense. You notice those talks didn't pop up as much the next week when Cleveland scored just 6 points in a home loss to the Raiders, albeit in windy conditions. In that game, Browns receivers dropped 5 passes, which was the team's most in a single game since Week 6 of 2018. But I digress. Let's just assume for one moment that it is true that the Browns are better and have a more efficient offense without Odell Beckham. Why is that the fault of Beckham? Why are we not blaming poor play calling or poor quarterback play? The same thing happened with discussions around Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. They say that because Beckham is such a great receiver, Mayfield just force feeds him passes even when he's not open, which bogs down the offense's efficiency. Okay, but then why is the solution simply to trade Beckham? If Mayfield forgets how to read the field when Beckham is on the field, that's a Mayfield problem, one that can be fixed. We've seen him play very well before. Odell Beckham's skill set is rare. You can only replace the talent of an elite receiver with the acquisition of another elite receiver, so Mayfield will run into this problem one way or another. Mayfield has regressed individually in PFF grading from 11th in 2018 to 17th to 27th this year. Meanwhile, Beckham, the 8th highest graded receiver since entering the NFL, has produced wherever he has played no matter who has been throwing him the ball. It's time to ask the questions about Mayfield rather than Beckham, because OBJ has proven time and again to be one of the best receivers this league has ever seen.